Watch what hydrogen peroxide actually does to your teeth and gums when you're struggling with dental issues.
The Mayo Clinic confirms that gum...
Here, Navy SEALs, 3 rules for surviving a...
Clinic confirms that gum...
Here, Navy SEALs...
Well, everyone, and welcome. Yes, we're back. We are back. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Sunday Live. We are here ready to bring all things healing and freedom to your life and to your journey. Do me a favor, click that like and subscribe button if you like our content, and be sure to go over to markdejesus.com where you can check out more about our materials and resources. Or if you're like, you know what, I'm seeing this video for the first time, I don't know what this guy's really all about, I got to check him out. I get that too. But thank you to so many of you. We'll talk about it a little bit more. Thank you so much. We have crossed the 100,000 subscriber mark. It is quite a big deal, and I'm grateful to all of those that have been supportive. Many of you have said to me, I remember when you were at 10,000 or 20,000 or whatever stage in the journey. It's really awesome that I've been able to be a brother from another mother, to be able to speak into your life, into your journey, all things mental, emotional, and relationship health. And today we're going to have a little bit of fun while addressing your questions along the way. We had a little bit of time off. It was great to be able to have that, to reboot, recalibrate, and get back into things. It is very hot where we are. I don't know what temperature you got going on. Feel free in the comment section to let us know what the temperature is, and be gracious to us as Americans and put it in Fahrenheit, because I don't understand Celsius. I know I probably should, and I know that we Americans probably should be understanding the metric system as well in general, but we don't. So give it to me in Fahrenheit where it's at, where you are. But it is in the 90s here, but it is a feel like up in the 100 something And those of you in Texas and West Coast and Arizona, I'm sure you have records that could beat that as well, too. So in this heat, we will be sure to bring the warmth of God's love and his grace into all the questions that you bring. But, ladies and gentlemen, let's get right into this. I would not be the man that I am. This broadcast would not be what it is without the love of my life, all that I cling to. She means more than this world to me, and that's not codependency talking. Ladies and gentlemen, Melissa DeJesus is here, and she's in the house. And we have what I think is a very lovely background and a very lovely setting that you are sitting in right now.
A little something. We're trying. It may change next week.
It is a little something.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. You got a nice glow about you.
Well, thanks, babe.
A little
Let's
bit of
see, how am I
sun,
doing
a
here?
little bit of break.
Yep.
Gives you feed off of the sun very well.
I do. I've often made this little joke that when I go outside, the sun goes, "Hey, lady, nice to see ya." Yeah, I could live in the tropical weather all year round. It just does a body good. I feel amazing when I'm in the sun, preferably, on a tube in the pool. I just love it.
There needs to be something to cool off, though. You couldn't be in the straight heat and just remain there.
Right.
You need a place to get cool.
Right. You
Yeah.
have to.
I'm the same way. I love the heat and the sun. However, if I'm reading, writing, working, anything like that, I fall apart. Like as far as like studious kind of work or computer work, in the heat, I fall apart.
No, I can't. A nice little breeze too is amazing.
Yeah, for sure. When I read the Bible and especially in the Old Testament and stuff like that, and I read about things that they're doing and traveling, I think in my mind the heat they were under.
Please, when I watch Little House on the Prairie, and there's an episode where I think Laura's married to what's his face? She called him Manly. What was his name?
I don't remember.
Anyway, she's pregnant. She's got that gigantic outfit on, and she like passes out because she's trying to bring water to the crops and everything. And I'm like, Lord, take me now. I don't know how they did it.
They had so many layers, and even the men, they had their white shirts. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing farming in a white shirt with a vest?
Almanzo, yes, Almanzo. Thank you, everybody. Almanzo.
Everything goes back to Little House on the Prairie.
It does. It honestly does. And then you rewatch it and you go, there's some questionable things, but we still love the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anyway, we are excited for 100,000.
Yeah.
Listen, it took us long enough, but I just want to say this. For those of you that are new to us, we did it with zero promotion. Mark, we really did not. This is like organic.
Yeah.
If you came and you found us at 3:00 in the morning because you were having a moment with yourself and you found us because you typed in about anxiety or OCD or whatever.
Yep.
And you found us. It's awesome. And
it's a very common way people find this channel too.
We have not bought
3 a.m.
subscribers like a lot of people do.
3 a.m. their time.
Yes.
And in the middle of the night, they're spinning about something. They type it in.
Yes.
And a brother from another mother shows up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yes, we are as organic as it gets in this channel, and
No
it takes as long as it goes to our motto. It takes as long as it takes.
Yeah.
Too.
No pesticides.
No.
Yeah,
so
this has been-
exactly. So we have not gotten our plaque yet, although YouTube said it is on its way.
Yeah. It'll be here, I think, Tuesday. So maybe I'll put it over there.
Yeah.
I always have to point opposite of where, yeah.
So I didn't forewarn you that I was going to say these things, but I want to just say that there's so much that Mark does not share. There's a lot of things that you do not, how I say, brag about. You do not say, oh, this one contacted me, this person, this one's come after me for interview. Like you do not brag, and you are very cautious and I don't want to say particular, but you're just not that kind of guy that like if a big name, and a lot of big names have contacted you. Hey, can we do an interview? Hey, can we get like, you've kind of just stayed true. Not that you'll never do that stuff in the future, but there's a part of you working out our voice, who you are, our channel, and just being steady in that, and not, because we could have brought more famous names and things like that alongside of you, or that you've interviewed. I don't mean alongside of you, but you've done things
or like chase names
or chased after, and you've not done that. And I think that's a testament to where we are now too, because we probably could have grown our channel a lot sooner if we did things and not compromised who we are, but you've never done that. So I'm just grateful and honored that you lead this the way that you, not just our home. And I've talked about that in the past, but how we've worked out the channel too.
Yeah. And I think the phrase over the journey is just kind of keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And for many years I struggled with a sense of just not fitting in. Like I didn't know where I fit. I didn't know what church I fit into. I didn't know what ministry I fit into. I just knew that the church was very dysfunctional and needed a lot of emotional and mental health help, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it firsthand for a long time and saw my own life. And then as I ventured out, I realized it was pretty lonely in it because I thought everybody would be like, yes, we want to get into that. And I didn't realize it was actually not a lot of welcoming to that.
Right.
I think that's changing.
Yeah.
But then I spent a lot of time questioning myself and spinning about, am I on the right path? Am I on the right place? But I've learned a lot in the journey and the process, and so I think part of the humility of the journey. Sometimes it's humility. Sometimes it feels like it's humiliation. Sometimes we don't know which is which.
This is true.
But you know how God said, "I took you in the was it in Deuteronomy?" He says, "I took you in the wilderness to humble you."
Mm-hmm.
There's a thing where you go and it's not meant for shame. It's meant to bring out humility and just get you to the fundamentals. So I just really appreciate the fundamentals and just the basic of one step at a time.
Yeah.
And realizing that it's going to take time for the body of Christ to come to recognition of our need for greater health and healing and the love of God and the grace of God.
Yeah.
And I'm just a student along the way wanting to help people experience that too.
Mm-hmm.
So the trajectory, and it's funny too, because the 100,000 cracked open while we were away on vacation. So that is kind of funny how I'm like, God has a sense of humor. That this
has
thing
the entire time.
this
for
thing
sure.
landed while we were away. It had
Right.
it's kind of like a picture of like has nothing.
Mark just sent me a screenshot and was like, hey, we're relaxing. And it was, we celebrated together, but it's, I don't know. That's kind of been our journey too.
Yeah. So I'm just grateful because the people who've come to this channel have been very encouraging, very supportive, understanding of what I'm trying to do, what I'm trying to help people with, what I'm trying to bring about. And it's been a great joy, a really great joy.
It has. I love the pace of it. We've been able to build our channel and your platform too with focusing on our family. So those of you that have followed us know that that's a very big part of who we are. So in places where even Mark feels that pull, he just puts a stop to it. And you're like, nope, I don't care if it takes longer.
Yeah.
This is more important.
Yeah, because the videos I do are there's a guiding principle, and it's the video is something that I really want to talk about and I feel is important to help people. It may not track. Some of the videos that I feel are most important don't track as much. But remember there was a day where I said, if I just get 1,000 views a video, I'm fine.
Right.
I'm fine. That's
we
fine.
really are.
And then I told the family, when I hit 100,000 subscribers, I'm retiring. I'm just like,
you did. And you're like, well, right. Like people would maybe look at our views and go, well, I mean, we have some that have big, but like we get excited. Hey, it went over 2,000. Like for us, we're still in that phase where that stuff, we still appreciate it. And we appreciate all the people. I love our channel. I've said that before. We have a great group of people. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have very gracious interactions, and
every so often we get a troll, and listen, just don't bother with them. We'll get them out.
Yeah. Even if they jump into the live feed,
who
it
cares?
happens.
We'll deal with it.
Some of them are robots, anyways.
They are bots. Yes.
But speaking of vacation, did you want to share a little story I think people could appreciate, because we never have just a plain DeJesus time away,
We
there's
never have
always something that happens.
Yes, we never have a plain week in the DeJesus house. Okay, so we had been planning our vacation for a while, and Max is so excited, and he, gets all of his stuff ready, and so he has his drawing things, and since Max was little, he's always a very sensitive kid to things, but it's more environmental kind of allergies that he's had. So anyway, we got on the plane, and they're passing out snacks, and they pass out peanuts, or not peanuts, but a nut pack. Mixture. So what's funny too is I looked over and I thought, should I let him have those? But he's had nuts. I'm not going to think twice about it. So we had about maybe like 30 minutes left on our flight. And he turns to you and he said,
my
throat is itching.
Yeah.
So we thought, okay, he's done that before where he gets anxiety and fear over certain things and he'll think he's allergic and then he's fine. So I kind of just thought, okay, we're traveling. Maybe he's a little bit fearful. He'll be okay. So, I'm good. I pack all the things to take. I have everything, every medication, but it's not with me. It's underneath in my suitcase. Anyway, you're like, do you have the Benadryl? And I'm like, no, I don't. Okay. So a few minutes go by. I feel sick. I feel like I'm going to throw up. I'm like, oh gosh.
Yep.
Okay, Max, you're just feeling fear. You're going to be okay. So now at this point, we've got 20 minutes maybe. We hear the captain say, the pilot, we're going to start to land, prepare to land. You call the stewardess over. Do you have any Benadryl? Do you have anything? She's like, no, we're not allowed. And I'm like, okay, I don't know. I feel like you should have something. Anyway, it was, I swear, by the time that happened to landing, here starts the hives. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. All over his arms, his face.
All over his arms.
Yeah.
His lips are starting to swell. His eyes are starting to swell.
Yeah.
And it's on. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay. And all I'm concerned too about that point is your throat closing. What are we going to do? What do we do? What do we do?
Yeah.
Okay, his throat's not closing, but this is getting bad. As we're getting off the plane and we're exiting, it's just getting worse.
Yeah.
So I'm like, we got to go get our luggage. What do we do? Oh my goodness. He just is getting worse and worse and worse. So we're like, okay, we got to, thank goodness that where we were staying at the airport, the hotel was right there.
Yeah.
So we were able to get that situated at the front desk. I need to get to an urgent care. How do I do this?
Right.
Okay. It's 8 miles away. And I'm like 8 miles away. His eyes are starting to shut. His whole torso is like turning yellow with like fluid. Like he's so, okay, just to let you know, like this is, I guess anaphylaxis is what they call it.
Yeah. He's on the verge of
very bad.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, Mark calls me an Uber, get in the car. And the guy doesn't speak any English.
No. To put into context, I don't know.
Go ahead.
'Cause I don't know if you mentioned, we're in Orlando.
We're
Florida.
in Orlando.
Yeah.
Okay, we're in Orlando.
Yeah, and we had planned a few days there, and so we're there, and we had our niece with us too, as well as Abby. So I'm like, okay, somebody's got to stay back with them. So I'm like, why don't you take Max? So I had the app available, so I pulled up the Uber. So I'm going to the car to tell the guy, hey, I'm paying for it, but my wife's going with my son. And I tell him, and I know in 2 seconds, because he looks back at me and goes,
Right.
and I'm like, oh no. I'm like, okay, honey, you'll be fine. Use the translator in your phone.
Yes. And I wasn't even because I'm focused on Max. Max is terrified. He's getting worse.
Yeah.
And yes, Time Walker, FAA should approve common drugs, but they should. They should absolutely have. They should have EpiPens. They should.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're going, and it's just I'm terrified. I'm just trying to stay calm for him. He's clear. He's just getting worse, and I'm like, the guy's just do, and getting out of traffic through Orlando. So at one point, Max starts talking to the guy.
Yeah.
And the guy looks in the rearview mirror. Now he knows he's taking us to an urgent care.
Yeah.
So I'm like, sorry, no, he's saying thank you. So what's crazy?
You're trying to translate Max,
to someone who can't speak English,
which you normally sometimes you do. Just Max has his ways and stuff, and sometimes we try to bridge it.
We try
a bit.
to,
but now you're doing it across a different language.
And in my head, I'm not thinking to use. Well, he's driving. I can't just like.
I'm texting you.
You're like
statements.
use Google Translate. Yeah, you were.
I was texting you statements.
You were,
could say.
and I'm like, this is awful. Anyway, the guy driving. You can tell it's bugging him. So you can tell he's looking at me in the rear view and he's looking out the window and he's being very like contemplative. He's like staring like he's serious and he's sad. And I look at him at one point at the light and I'm like, oh my gosh, I think he's starting to cry that he can't talk to us.
Yep.
Because he can see clearly I'm scared. Max is scared. He can see what's happening to Max.
Yep.
Anyway, he gets us to the urgent care. And I go in and I'm like, okay, I don't know if anybody speaks English in here.
Yeah.
So anyway, the lady's at the reception. She's talking to somebody and she's like, I'll be with you in a minute. I'm like, my son's having an allergic reaction. She was awesome. Took me right in the back. The doctor comes in and he goes, yeah, I'm sorry. I can't treat you until I prove that you have insurance.
Right. That's fun.
I'm like, my kid
right.
is a mess right now. Okay. That was really irritating.
Right.
Anyway, I'm like, whatever, of course, here, take the card. So they give him a shot and they give us prednisone, whatever. But it took him a good 2 days for everything, for the swelling to go down. Mm-hmm. He was pretty bad.
Yeah.
So
isn't it? Yeah. It's so frustrating. I remember years ago, we were dating, or maybe no. I don't think we were engaged yet. And I went to Peru. Remember that when I went to Peru?
Yeah.
And was there for like a week and a half or something like that, speaking every day. And man, I just, my heart ached because I was like, I wish I could speak the language.
Right.
It was so frustrating,
so
especially with the nature of what I was teaching on.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So then I call an Uber to come get me. She doesn't speak English. And I'm like... And you know me, I'm a chatterbox, and I want to talk about her. So whatever. Yeah. She was very nice and just, and got us back. But it was so scary. So then, should I tell the second piece?
I was going to just say one thing.
Go ahead.
We have a funny dynamic because I'll often, if we need to go somewhere, I'll book the Uber.
Yes, you do.
And there's a feature where it'll ask you what you want. Do you want, talk or silence? And I always select silence because I'm fine with just sitting there.
This is what really happens. Yes.
I'm totally fine with just sitting there. And if conversation opens up, fine. But I like to look at the scenery. Whereas you'll strike up a conversation.
Oh, I get right in there.
So we always joke that they're probably very confused. Like, what does this couple want?
They're like, and the guy drivers are probably like, can we just go with what the husband wants? Because I'm like, so where are you from? Really? Ooh, tell me. I just, yeah. I'm like, I want to know everything. Can we be friends? Do you want my phone number? Anyway, right. So we are at a place we went to Discovery Cove. Yeah, is one of the places.
Amazing place.
We loved it. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, me and my niece go and sit on like the sand area as we're looking out over the stingrays and all the things. What a cute little place. Anyway, highly recommend it. So I feel like something bit me. So I'm like, oh, I get up. I'm like, I feel like something is biting me. So I get up. I don't think much about it. Well, my niece got bit on the back of her legs. So, we didn't think much about it. A couple days into our vacation, we go to dinner, and we had been at the beach that day. And my niece got really badly burnt on the back of her legs. Mm-hmm. So we go to dinner. We're at dinner. She goes to get up from dinner, and she's like, I can't walk.
Yeah.
She can barely walk.
Yeah.
I look at her bug bites, and they're now like the size of a quarter.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not happening again. Mm-hmm. So we get back to our room, and her legs are not feeling good. So I'm like, okay, is it the bruises? Is it the bug bites? We don't know what's going on. I'm texting my sister, letting her know what's happening. We don't know. Okay. Well, I look at the bug bite and it's infected. It's like filling. Okay. So then we got to go to a medical thing again. Because she was having a reaction from the bug bite, which we think maybe it was like a sand flea or something. Mm-hmm.
Combined with the sunburn, because it was a pretty
combined
intense.
with the sunburn was not
Yeah.
good. So then the poor thing, then she has to get antibiotics. Anyways, so this was the beginning of our trip.
And all 3 kids got pretty significantly sunburned, even
'Cause
though they were instructed.
They were instructed.
to sunscreen and all that. But
Yeah. So that was the first trip.
yeah, we made it all right though. We had a good time. But
We did. But listen, what is a trip without a visit to the, urgent care?
yeah.
And everybody getting on something. So
Yep.
yes. So anyway, as soon as we got home, I literally called my doctor and I'm like, Max needs testing immediately. So I've now gotten a prescription for we have EpiPens and all the tests will come back soon.
Yep.
But yeah.
and,
my Max
and the
story.
trip wasn't without Max and his moments of certain statements he would say or certain social things.
Should we tell this?
If you want, I don't know if we want to greet the chat or if
Okay. We always have a Max story. But anyway, yeah. So Dave Jenkins said, yeah, by the end of this vacation, you are probably bilingual, at least with hospital words.
we need to be.
I need to.
We need to be. Yeah,
Anyway.
yeah.
Okay.
Why don't you take some time
Let
to
me
greet the chat?
We just spent a lot of time on
I'll
that.
dive into the questions, and then if we have some more time, we can chat about it later.
Okay, awesome. Let me hello to everybody watching on Facebook, and let's go over.
Let me get your
get
your
my
lovely
music.
music. Yeah,
my
that's it.
shoulder shake. Okay. Courtney Laws, hello. Katie, hello, Katie. RRB, thank you so much. And yes, we are excited about our 100,000. All right, let me go all the way up here. Lori Livingston, hello, Lori. Ness, Jean Parrish, hello from Spartanburg, South Carolina. Velma, Dave Jenkins. Okay, Dave says it's 92 in Chicago.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Pearl, hello, Pearl. Adrian, Linda,
Adrian!
Devin, Luke Braganza.
Miss
B! HS, Mary Jo, hello from Hot Cincinnati. Linda, Lucas the Prussian, hello. Samuel Johnson, hello. Rhonda Bird, hello. Hema and CE87, HS, Katharina, Slow Mo Extremo. Oh, I like your name. Joshua Miller! Sonia Russell, hello. Christian, Schizophrenic Freedom, hello. Marty, Time Walker.
Marty!
Jessica Hunt, hello. King Bimba. Estelle, our lovely, lovely Estelle. Melanie Walker, hello. Let me go down here. Brooke, Scotian Lady, hello, hello. Bouge, that's what we call our dog, Bouge, Bougie. Emphatic Man, CLF. Polly, Shot. Hey, Sarah, too, hello. Let me go down here. Sorry, I'm like going really slow through here today. Meg VC, Ice Latte, hello. Let me go here. Let me hit the little down button. Say the fake German name.
Warren Harstein!
Night in Battle, Yvette, Private, hello, Beloved Child Mary, Hannah Joy, Melanie Walker, I said that already. Psalmist, Tyrus, hello, Tyrus. Let's see.
It's a cool name.
Honestly, I think I pretty much got everybody. If I missed you, oh, Megan, hi, Megan. Marty, if I missed you, I'm sorry I missed you. And welcome, and we're glad to have you with us. Yeah, I think we're good.
Well done. Well done
Yeah.
with plenty of time left.
I know, right?
It's
Oh,
just-
Lucas, thank you for the super chat. We appreciate it. Then I have a couple. Oh, Lori, thank you. Melissa, your hair is beautiful and voluminous. Not sure what you did, but keep doing it. Honey, I cut it, okay? And I put a little curl. It fell a little bit, but welcome. Hello, Mark. Welcome back. 100,000. Wonderful. Yay. And then I'll have a question after.
Yeah. Feel free. If you have a question, go ahead and.
Okay, hold on. Let me. From Miss B. I just love to say her name. How do I deal with a boss who constantly is demeaning and disrespectful? It's causing me major anxiety and not able to work without falling apart.
I don't think I have like a specific thing like do this, but I have a mentality that I think would help because I worked with and worked for very difficult people, and I've told stories about it. And I remember a very difficult guy that was mentally, emotionally unstable. And now when I say that, actually about 3 different people
who are you
come to mind.
talking about?
Well, there was one guy early on when I was a youth pastor, but I was also doing a lot of music and stuff like that. It was a very, very challenging time. And this was my mentality at the time. And some of my friends helped me with this, is the kind of the mentality of let this be a time where you learn to grow, and then either becomes something where that person moves on or you move on. Right? In my case, in that situation, that person moved on. In another situation, I moved on. And so I think that it's very, very difficult, very, very challenging. I'm never like encouraging people just put up with abuse or anything like that. That's never, the thing I would say. But sometimes I find those situations to be sharpening experiences where I learn in the midst of difficult emotions, difficult people, to like learn how to respond in renewed ways. And so what that looks like for people, may be different. But sometimes I would find ways to, I remember a challenging person to work for, and I sat down with him one day and tried to get a piece of his heart. I was like, can you just tell me some ways that I could better help serve, your journey? Is there a way I could help you, even personally, to just be a blessing to you? Right? It's kind of an interesting way because it would cut through the toxicity that it give him an opportunity. I want to see if there's a window here. Is there a window of reasonability? And so when people act harshly or rude or whatever, in that setting, we have to work with them. It's like find a way to let, when Jesus talked about love your enemies and do good to those who hate you, it's like try to find a way where love has a work. Now, I'm not saying put up, that means you have to just accept abuse, toxicity, those kind of things. But give an opportunity, like what's a way that I could express love to cut through, to give God a chance to have a work here. And then sometimes you just kind of just keep your integrity. Don't let all the stuff shake you. Don't get lost in all the, the gossip and stuff that goes on at work. Just kind of, do great work. Do great work. That's a very important thing. No matter where you are, is just excel and just bring about excellence in your work. And then see, many times that person, their sinful, toxic lifestyle gets exposed. It does, and comes to the surface. Sometimes it doesn't, and you realize I've done what I can do. It's time for me to move on. So that's kind of the framework that I've lived by, and I've learned a lot in working for very difficult people. You have. And you have the gamut. And sometimes I had a window too, where I was like, wow, I see the person differently now, But that's not always the case. Some people are incredibly difficult to deal with and work with. Yeah. So should I dive into the questions, or do you have any other things in the comment section or super chat land?
I have another super chat.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, do you remember when we talked, I called him Private Ron, but we had a thing about blood work. So he just said, so I did blood work finally.
Right
Yay!
on, right on.
This is awesome.
Hold on, I want to grab my Pellegrino I left back.
Go ahead. However, since then, things have been bad. I deal with bad GERD that gives me annoying dry cough and chest throat pain. I can't eat the foods I used to eat. I can't eat anything.
What's the question?
I'm not sure.
I'm not a doctor. My initials are MD, but I'm not a doctor. But it does sound like somebody who has, like, their stress goes down to their digestive tract.
Yeah. So I was going to say that. So he's getting a lot of checkups now, and he doesn't know what's causing it.
Yeah. So diet can cause that, but a lot of undue stress, and for a lot of people, the stress goes right there. And I did a video on this years ago where I talked about having a Puerto Rican stomach, which has its advantages, but also has its disadvantages. All my dad's side of the family, and if you're watching, hi, Dad, all their stress goes right there. Right. And so those poor diet and excessive stress taking a toll, it messes with the balance, because there's like a acidic, what's the other word? Like acid base kind of balance that your stomach has. It's very interesting. It's it's very acidic in there, but it has a certain balance it needs. And when that gets off, certain areas get irritated.
And I
so-
think too, we can, sometimes we take things like I'll do something and I'll then not feel good and go, oh, it must have been that, when it's not related at all.
Yeah. Right. Right. And some things could be in the works for a while.
Exactly.
Too.
Like
Yeah.
a lot of us have a lot of bad gut. Like someone wrote gut dysbiosis. Yeah. Like and gastritis. I've had all those things that my gut has been trying to work out from just eating really horrible over the years.
And a lot of it's just lack of knowledge. It's taking
Totally.
us some time to catch up with understanding how our bodies flourish.
Yeah.
So that those two things were helpful for me, dealing with the fear factor in my life, and then also helpful things for gut biome. And that takes time.
100%.
Probiotics. I've used apple cider vinegar, as a help, those kind of things. And but you let yourself learn along the way, and do the blood work.
Exactly. I love to get blood work done. I love the numbers. Give me the numbers. I want to know. What does it come? What is it showing?
Yeah.
Is my vitamin D good? I need to know. I need more sun. Okay, no problem.
Right.
Oh, goodness.
All right, let me dive into some questions.
Go for
I got
it, babe.
a lot of them, and some of them I am looking forward to addressing here, and being a blessing to your journey, y'all. So if you want to send one in, you can. markdejesus.com/questions. This one came in, actually came in today in the middle of the night, which is a common pattern that happens. But I thought it'd be interesting to just comment on the journey, because I'll cut to where he gets to his story. I'm a 33-year-old man, and I grew up as a Christian in the church in the South, with my father as the driving force. He's since passed away, but he left behind some emotional and spiritual scars on us. He was a troubled but very devout man himself due to traumas, abuse, and neglect in his own childhood. I find a lot of people that I interact with and talk with in the body of Christ that they have this kind of pattern where the dad was there. He was steady, so to speak, in like work or church involvement, but there's a lot of issues. He had a lot of undealt with anger, a lot of hostility within himself that had an effect on passivity in the home as well too. But anyway, you said he was troubled, very devout man due to his own trauma, abuse, neglect his own childhood. He refused therapy because in the 90s, mental health wasn't taken as seriously, and thus he dismissed it as outright satanic. That's interesting. That's like a church lady kind of thing.
Oh, that's satanic. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Mental health? Come on. I'll make you mental in just a second with your satanic talk.
Sounds like he was friends with the church lady. Yeah, because back then everything was, you could say, yeah, I just went to the movies today.
That's satanic.
I listened to a song that had a drum beat in it.
That's satanic.
That's usually. So then what was really satanic kind of lost its definition and meaning because everything was called that. It was frequently used as a way to squash arguments or questions I or my siblings had about anything and everything, or if we were too passionate about anything that wasn't Bible related.
That's not Bible related. You like baseball? It's not Bible related. Not happening. Not happening.
I realized that my father was under religious legalism, or using parts of it to control us. So just so you know, right here in what you've shared with me, this is a recipe to create a lot of anxiety in children, both male and female. It's going to infuse the potential for perfectionism, definitely performance, but a lot of anxiousness, a lot of a sense of emotional instability and lack of developing your sense of how you work through your emotions. So anyway, I realized now that my father was under religious legalism or parts to control us, he also loved the prosperity gospel. So now the plot thickens. Now, when you go online, because people are starting to write to me in trying to get discernment about these kind of ministries or this kind of church or this kind of thing, I will say this about the prosperity gospel. There's a lot of the subject of prosperity that has been distorted, misused, manipulated, used in very dysfunctional directions. However, there are aspects of the scriptures that speak to the subject of prosperity. Even John himself used it. Pray above all things that you prosper and be in health as your soul prospers. It's defining and understanding it. But my point being is I want to speak about the prosperity gospel in a way that is not addressed. We can talk about the errors of the teaching and all that. I find talking to people about heart healing, mental health, from anyone who comes from the prosperity movement, the hardest people in all of the streams of what we would call Christianity to help. The most resistance I have seen is from them. And I have independent fundamental Baptists who come into my channel and check out. Yes, more difficult than y'all, because there is infused in it a very intense sense of denial and a very militant no negativity around me, because a lot of their theology is around working faith in such a way that it brings a cause and effect kind of thing. I build my faith up, this happens. I speak faith, this happens. So therefore, anything other than that contaminates it. So if I talk about, hey, that part of your childhood may be affecting you, I ain't claiming that. The resistance is thick. I have very, very little success in breaking through, except for a few. And some of you are in the feed. You know who you are, and you can comment if you'd like to. You don't have to if you don't want to. Because there's a denial-based response to problems. And if you recognize it, hey, this hurts, or this is painful, or I'm struggling, you have a lack of faith, and now you have welcomed spiritual cooties into your life. Sorry, it's not the best word. It's just a childhood word we used. You got cooties. Like if you bumped into a girl when you were a little kid, and you're like, oh, I got cooties. There's a superstitious aspect to it, because many of their ways of operation, word of faith pastors, prosperity pastors, they have a no negativity force field around them. They don't tolerate it at all, which is true in many cult environments too, where it's just like, there's no criticism, no negativity. If there is, you're going to eventually be shunned, and you're going to find your way out of the inner circle, the outer circle, and any circle near the circle kind of thing. And so it becomes very difficult and very challenging to deal with emotional life. Some of the word of faith prosperity has leaked into charismatic circles, and many of them in prophetic ministry, supernatural kind of emphasis. They're manifesting a lot of word of faith 2.0. They are. In the way that they deal with problems, I've seen many in kind of mystical or charismatic circles. It's very, very frustrating, because anything you say or a struggle aspect they just don't want it. They just don't want it. You're messing with the aura I'm in, or something. I'm not using their words, but that's kind of it's like, wait a second, what is this? What is this kind of New Age living? Why are we? It's a fear of evil. So I say all that to say that kind of mentality in the home, if your parents are into that, there's going to be very little room for working through emotions, working through pain, and understanding how to navigate challenges in life. So I say all that to give perspective to what you're sharing, because you're going to go into fear that you have in relating to God. This is going to create a superstitious relationship with God, one that is built on fear of evil, fear of failure, fear of doing something wrong, fear of punishment, fear of messing things up. Because that word of faith cause and effect kind of thing. So what happens to you, you start searching inward. What did I say wrong? What did I do wrong? And now you're fussing over stuff. And technically it's welcoming law-based living of oh, this happened because of this word I said, or this thing I had, or this thought I'd said, all these things going on in the church. It's
oh, yeah. You better believe it. You said that word. You claimed it. You didn't just say it. You claimed it. You claimed it. So now you got what's coming.
This makes life very challenging to navigate the scriptures, the grace of God, and freedom in Christ in a healthy way. So anyway, you said, I think he meant well, the tools and information he had. As a teen, I was traumatized by a lot of topics in the Bible. Just as a side, let's try to save the word traumatized for where it is needed. You were triggered, you were hit with fear, but we are using the word traumatized too much, just as a side thought, because many times people say, I had an intrusive thought and it traumatized me. That's not what trauma is, even though we may feel a heavy, fearful reaction. But anyways, you said, I began to realize I had and still have the classics of scrupulosity, OCD, anxiety, depression, deep guilt. My siblings and I rebelled and became prodigal, with some still actively rejecting our church upbringing, some of us somewhere in the middle, and the last of us returning to God with new and growing understanding, but a lot of guilt. What you described is a lot of the church today. Many go, I want nothing to do with it. Somewhere in the wandering wilderness, and others returning, but they got a lot of baggage, and a big one being guilt. As an adult now, I know that my relationship with God is fear and punishment based due to the relationship with my dad and the type of Christianity he espoused. I struggle with untangling that relationship, and I worry for others that had a similar upbringing, including my siblings. Okay, the struggle is real. You're going to have to give yourself time and patience to work it out. You're in your early 30s. This is a good time and good season to recognize it. Many in their 20s, they may see it, but it's like, it's going to take some time for you to start realizing, whoa, when you get married and have kids, it goes to another level of realizing what you grew up with and some things to work with. So embrace the journey. I don't receive the same comfort or relief I think other Christians feel at the thought of the return of Jesus. So that your fear factor kicks into all this. It's the dread of wait till dad gets home, but on an existential level. So the idea of Jesus returning is he's coming back and you better watch out because he's going to bring the hammer to you. It makes me fall into a spiral of, see, you're fooling yourself. You're not saved. You're not doing enough to be saved. So there goes your OCD stuff. Even though I know logically there's nothing I need to do as Christ has already done the work. So my question is, how do I navigate the freedom Christ provides while dealing with the fear of what feels like Christianity without the guardrails? Well, when you enter into learning and experiencing the grace of Jesus Christ, at first, especially for performers and perfectionists, it feels uncomfortable. It feels too good to be true. It feels awkward because you're used to always checking a box. You're used to always checking how you feel or where you stand. And when you let go of that, it's very uncomfortable at first. So it's actually a normal part of the recovery journey. How do I and others with similar legalistic upbringings untangle such a core part of our being to learn of the true Christ and true all-loving God? I think infused in what you're sharing here is an anxious fear of error. And I've watched this in my own journey as I began to go back to the foundation and rebuild and allow that, where Jesus said, repent and go back to the first works. Go back to just true love. Just go back to that place. You got in all your busyness and all this stuff and things and entanglements. Get back. And so I found myself going back to that, but watching other people saying they were doing that. And then many of them, and you see this whole deconstruction kind of movement going on, and they've taken that word and really grabbed onto it and brought a meaning that often means distorting the truth or moving away from truth, rather than getting grounded in what was the most important thing, which was what Jesus Christ did to display the love of the Father and his grace towards us, and get rooted in that relationally. So I look around, I see other people kind of like, yeah, I had some abuse or these kind of things in my upbringing or legalism. But the way that they're processing, like, no, that's not, I don't know that that's it. So what that can do, though, is that can make you afraid of falling into error. And for you, sir, the thing that I would encourage is trust that God is bigger than your ability to do this just right. Take the journey, take it one step at a time, but you're going to have to face this fear of I'm going to fall into error. Because that fear will prevent you from taking the steps into the loving grace of God, the truth that sets us free. You got to allow yourself the ability to go, okay, if I get it wrong, then I'll figure it out then. And because that held me back from just taking a step, because I was like, am I doing it right? Do I have it all right? It's gonna cause a lot of procrastination. And in many in this channel, procrastination is a big, big battleground. It just prevents you from taking a step because you got to get it just right and get it all figured out. And his grace is going to meet you. His grace was big enough in your legalistic error to be with you. His grace is big enough that if you step out into grace but you don't want to go into lawlessness, he's big enough to help you in that too. So take that step and allow yourself to learn along the way. And I hope it was a help to your journey. Someone wrote in recently and said, could you role play of how to deal with negative emotions like depression, anxiety, or anger? I would love to see how you go through that step by step. And many people have asked that in the comments, and I try to do that in a lot of the videos that I've done in being able to look at emotions, understand emotions. But this is my basic premise. Okay, so depression, anxiety, anger. If I'm feeling depressed, my normal mode of operation years ago would be diving into where'd this come from and trying to inspect it, do forensics on it. What's causing this? What is this all about? And then 2, going through a bunch of, like a whole Rolodex of things I'm going to throw at this to try to get rid of it. And this was really the inflamed perfectionism. And so I began to learn a different approach, which was being compassionate and gracious to this. And so if you're feeling emotions of depression, sometimes it takes time for people to recognize it, because you have other symptoms like you're very easily distracted. You think you're ADD, or you have indecisiveness, or you have lots of guilt, what they call inappropriate guilt, right? And often those are combined with other symptoms are what make up depression. It's a lower mood that's lasting for quite a bit of time. So if I'm feeling that, my first approach would be compassion. Mark, it's okay that this is where you're at. That is one of the things that takes time to learn. So I apply the compassionate response with patience and kindness. So compassion embraces, okay, this is where I'm at right now. This is what I'm feeling. Patience says it'll take as long as it takes. I'm on a journey. Kindness is I'm gonna now invite kindness in my language rather than the self-hate, rather than the beating myself up. I notice the depression, but I don't feed it. Now I may look at it and go, as I'm not feeding it, not feed, but what do I need? It rhymes. Not feed, but what do I need? Right? I'm not going to feed this depression and just start like tagging on stuff to it, go into loathing and woe is me and just hit the despair switch. I don't have to do that. Okay, let me just see it for what it is. Am I noticing anything about this and what I need right now? Do I need some rest? Do I need maybe to change the channel and do something? Do I need to laugh a little bit? Because for me, if I feel just that weighed down kind of thing, many times it's a signal for me to laugh a little bit, which has been a part of my life and what we like to do. That's actually been a part of my healing and it's been very necessary. Do I need to lighten up? Am I taking myself too seriously? If nothing comes to the surface that I need, then I'll take a next step. I'm not really knowing where this is coming from or where this is, what's causing this. I'm not going to dive into that. What would be helpful for me right now? And for depression, there is sometimes a good loving response of going, all right, let me go for my walk. Let me get out and do some activity. Let me change the channel. Let me talk to a friend. Let me get out of my head, right? Love helps create the environment for that, okay? So that's kind of, and I know this is very simplified, but I'm giving you kind of like a workshop of my processing. Anxiousness, same thing. Noticing it, but not feeding it. Because I would feed it. Oh my goodness, I'm anxious. And then panic setting in, then more obsessive, then more ruminating. And then, right? So with anxiety, physiology is helpful. Pausing, take a deep breath, put your hand over your heart, take in a deep breath. It right there, it's a physiological statement to tell your nervous system, hey, we're going to calm right now. And I tune into my self-talk. Is my self-talk encouraging? Is it helpful? If not, let me tune into that. Mark, you're loved today. You're safe. It's all right. Your body doesn't feel safe, but you're all right. I may say it out loud or I may just say it in my head. I invite in a welcoming presence to that. I delay judgment on it because even the scriptures say mercy triumphs over judgment. It's easy to judge. Well, I'm anxious because I can never get it together, right? Hammer of judgment. I'm going to delay judgment. I'm going to let mercy in. Mercy is God's compassion on us, in the midst of our suffering and sin and struggles and all of that. And so then in the mercy, I start to connect to gratitude. I start to connect to a sense of, I got a glimmer that I'm going to be okay. But then I find what's helpful. Sometimes it's a sense of rest. Sometimes with anxiety, it's something I need to just step up to this, right? Like I talk about a lot of anxiousness I have over public speaking, right? And when I would feel it, my anxiety would kick up and fight or flight, and I just need to take a nap. And I learned that wasn't very fruitful. It was kind of me like, get me out of this. Instead, I kindly and graciously go, Mark, this is something you got to face, something you got to do. Just keep practicing. Keep practicing this. You're going to be all right. You're going to learn confidence in this over time. So again, not feed, but what do you need, right? And when love is in the picture, you get a better sense of what you need. And sometimes what I need is a good sense of, you know what? Don't let this hold you back. Don't feed this right now. Take a step. You don't have to lunge forward, but just take that next step that you need. With anger is something that if I'm angry, I want to first go, okay, I'm not going to just act on this. I got to learn to notice it. And this is where mental health fruitfulness happens, of being able to notice an emotion but not feed it. That takes time and practice. A lot of practice, because when I get angry, I'd get like shaken up inside. I'd start ruminating, start spinning. But then I was afraid to let it out because I didn't want to do something wrong. You know, that like perfectionistic, I got to do things just right. And so I would suppress it and shove it down. And then that would come out later and you get stacks of anger. And then it's like, you just want to blow up, right? So learning that when the anger kicks up, more noticing it, I don't have to do anything to fix this right now. That's the compulsion that wants to come in. I got to fix, I got to do what I got to pray out. And Christians have a very difficult relationship with anger. Very, very difficult. It's something that we need a lot of work in, because we either feed it or we're terrified of it and we suppress it down. Or we think, oh, this means I'm super bitter, or we start like doing a bunch of fix-it things. Instead, I notice I'm angry. Oh, interesting. What am I angry about? And if I get a little insight, oh, I'm angry about this. What thread does this point back to? And usually we have a couple threads in our life that sometimes follow us. They're those raw nerves, and when they get hit, boom, it hits you. It's not about the thing you're angry about. It's usually a thread that's there. And so I'll notice what's the narrative that this anger is saying. Nobody listens to me. I'm ignored. I'm disrespected. No one cares. I'm being misunderstood. Injustice is taking place. This lies are happening, right? And whatever you identify as a narrative, that has a history in your life. And so when I realize that, that's the thing that I apply kindness to. Oh, yes. Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, I never, or whatever, right? God, I give that place to you. That place in my heart I give to you. A soft answer turns away wrath, right? So it works in relationship. It also works with yourself. So I'm going to see the anger, even though you could be shaking, nervous systems rising up, right? And then another thing I'll do is I always delay compulsivity. Something I got to do to react, right? If it's an email I want to write, I'll write the email. I just won't send it. I'll let it sit there in the inbox. I'll look at this tomorrow. If I get angry over an email that's sent or a comment, I will apply a 24-hour rule to it. And I may be fussing the whole 24 hours. That's okay. But many of us go, what's wrong with me? Nothing wrong with you. You got upset. Stop saying because you get upset, something's wrong with you, right? I think we are constantly forgetting about, Jesus throwing those tables and throwing the whip around, and applying like Indiana Jones, like, to people there, Jesus has an anger problem. No, I think we're uncomfortable with the emotional bandwidth. I think that's something that we have to be renewed in the church today, is how to notice the spectrum of emotions that we feel in life. We want only the happy, joy, peace. We want those, right? But many times those emotions need going through the valley of those unwanted emotions. But that's a basic framework of how I process those. And I find it to be very fruitful, but it takes practice. over time. So, my love, do you have anything in the chat arena that you want to share? Okay.
I do not.
All right. I'm going to do a few more and then I'll take a dance break. Question came in about he loses perspective and he forgets what he learned. Hey, Mark, I consistently find myself having these aha moments or times of epiphany where the veil is lifted and I can see my OCD for what it is. I can totally relate to that. More importantly, I see myself for who God says I am in Jesus. I can relate to that too. However, cue the Jaws music, I find myself going from these moments of clarity back to fear as if I totally forgot what I just learned the previous day or even hour. I find myself experiencing these same epiphanies over and over, and it seems like I should have learned these things by now. Well, what you're doing is you're growing, and this is what growth looks like. You get something, you gain it, you take a step forward in it, and then you feel like you collapse and you forget about all of it. In the midst of OCD renewal, this is a very, very common thing because OCD puts on a veil that just causes a sense of distortion. You can't see things the way you need to see them. You see it through a distorted lens. And I remember this early on when I didn't even have OCD kind of help. Wasn't even the word. This is before that word was even applied to what I struggled with. And what I would do, this is back in the day before smartphones. I just had one of those flip phones. Maybe, I guess we call them dumb phones, right? And I remember I would have these breakthrough moments, I'd call it, where I could just see more clearly. Could see God at work. I had a faith, hope, and love lens. Okay, this is what's going on. Okay, I see the battle. God, you're here. I see it. And what I would do is I would do one of two things. I would write it down as a reminder so I could go back in my journal. Or what I would do is take the flip phone and I'd have to scroll back, or it's not even scroll. It's like you'd have to hit the button and go through the menu and there'd be a voice recorder in it, right? There was a time in season I had an actual voice, like a tape recorder. And I think eventually I went to a digital, handheld one that I carry around with me. And I would, in that moment of like a faith, hope, and love window, I would record a message to myself. Yeah, I'd record a message to myself. Hey, Mark, this is Mark. I'm here to tell you that right now, I see it. This is what you got going on. This is what's happening. Keep walking through this. And I would just exhort myself in that moment of faith. And what that does is it helps anchor myself into it so that when I'm out of it, whatever that means, just struggling, drowning, spinning, spiraling, I'd play that. And it would help bring a neurological anchoring back to it. And I think this has been proven in neural understanding, but it's also proven in scripture where God, in the Old Testament especially, a lot of like writing down, put this memorial, this thing as a remembrance so that you remember my ways. Why? Because they were always forgetting. God would do a miracle. The next day they're complaining. And we can look at them and go, oh, bad Israel. We do the same thing today. We have a breakthrough moment. We connect to God's love and connect to hope in our lives. Our faith gets built. And then the next day it's like it never happened. No, it did happen. You just need to be reminded of it. That's why I'm a big believer in document your journey. Document what you learn. So I did some rearranging to my books back here. I don't know if you can see them. Yeah, that section right here where I'm pointing. Those are all journals. Those are all just journals. Now, my journals are not Dear Diary, today was a tough day. That's just not my style. If that's your style, feel free. Mine is a record of everything I learn. When a thought comes about, I'm always trying to find a way to put it down. Now, my life is more digital now. So it's going into my phone, my notes programs, or I have an app called UpNote that I use. It's easy for me to categorize, and you can hashtag topics so I can find those easier. I used to use Evernote. I used to use, stuff like that. And I have a voice recording in my phone. I'll put it in there. It transcribes it for me. It's amazing now. And I use that to get embedded in me what I learn. And it's not it's not like, this is good, I can teach this. This is good because I need this. And many times, eventually, those things become, so a lot of stuff that's in those journals is actually in books now, or it's in videos. It's stuff I just processed out in the workshop of my own life. But we need ways to be reminded. We are very much in a information-saturated world. I think it makes our brains lazier is not the word. I think it makes our minds a little less resilient to remember. So I think even today, now more than ever, we need to document and remember, because stuff, information or things that are important go right through us and we forget about it. So I have a philosophy of when I gain something, I want to anchor myself in it. So saying it, you feel the emotion too. So when I record a message to myself. So that's what I encourage you to do. Anchor in those moments. You're not going backwards. You're not losing it. The revelation ways of God are not something that, just slips out of your hands, but we become not as aware of it. And documenting helps us to remain aware. So he said, I know we never graduate from God's love in the simple gospel, but I feel like the man who looks at himself in the mirror and immediately forgets what he looks like when he walks away. Do you have any suggestions on how to stay rooted in our identity in Christ? That would be my best feedback for that. And you wrote, it seems I'm constantly taking one step forward and one step back. Yeah, that's called the journey, and it's progress. Trust me, it's progress. Keep walking forward, keep practicing, and it's not about the falling or the forgetting. It's about how you respond to it. Respond graciously, and keep letting the learning get embedded in your heart and in your journey. So I'm going to take a dance break, and I'll be back. I think I want to do, is this the 80s one? Yeah. All right, going to talk some more about your questions and get into the nitty-gritty of it all. This question gets into agoraphobia, panic in cars, stuff like that, and panic attacks and all that. And I'll give you some feedback. Hey, Mark, your platform is amazing. You're doing the Lord's work. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. You are by far my favorite teacher. I have your teachings on 24/7, even while I'm sleeping every night. Now that's interesting. You just got it on like one giant loop. I should put together videos that are just me like talking as you're going to sleep. That would be interesting. I want to do at some point. I'm going to do some scripture reading videos. It's just me reading the scriptures to you, and maybe you can use that to fall asleep as well too. I have been struggling with agoraphobia for a few years, and it's awful. So fear of like enclosed spaces, fear of crowds, things like that. I have a wife and 3 boys, and I feel so stuck and paralyzed. I'm also stuck in fight or flight survival and hypervigilance after a really bad experience of getting off of Cymbalta a year ago. Yeah. And many people, when they come off of psychiatric medication, need to be aware that it takes time for your body to adjust. When you take medication, your body has to adjust now to that being in your body, that whatever that's doing chemically or how it's affecting you has to adjust to it. So coming off of it is a whole thing in itself. I've talked about that in past broadcasts. So that's an important thing for compassionate grace versus what's wrong with me? What's the matter with me? But anyways, you've had vivid dreams every single night for years. And I wake up with paralyzing anxiety, impending doom, and worry that subsides throughout the day. I wonder, like, how much good sleep you're getting, because what you're sharing here, it's messing with your sleep. And when your sleep's messed with, then you have worsened sleep, then your cortisol levels, your fight or flight's cranked up, and it's going to produce anxiety. The reason I say that is because it seems to subside later in the day. So it's showing how sleep is affecting you. All I can really do is lay in my room or sit on my porch and listen to your teaching all day. I try to take walks and work out in my garage, but it's really challenging to be consistent with it. My mom lives next door, and I was doing exposure therapy by riding around the neighborhood with her, but I feel trapped in the car and on the verge of panic, and I can't wait to get the rides over with. So I haven't continued to do it. Okay, so there's two components that are needed. One is you need a big hug, brother, okay? So you listen to me 24/7. First of all, it's an honor that I'd be able to speak to you in that way. I want to put some of this into activity, though, so that you can begin to have some motion with the things that you're learning and the things that you're hearing me talk about. One is the aspect of compassionate love that is going to empower you. That, listen, you're a husband, you're a dad, you got those factors going on, but you have this debilitating fear that's hitting you. And it hits you in closed spaces. It hits you, looks like going in a vehicle is very challenging. A lot of people that have car fears. When I was first teaching on fear and anxiety, I'd run into a number of people driving at night, big one, driving on the highway, and even just being in vehicles in general. So it's a common thing that can then turn into a phobia. So there's the aspect of love that's needed in your life, of perfect love that casts out fear. But love has something very powerful that we need to recognize. Love believes all things. Love increases belief. And it needs, though, experience to get embedded in us. So what you need is incremental practices that are helping you. So you say you try to exercise, or you try to what was it? You try to take walks and work out in your garage. Okay, you don't have to work out right now. Just try the walk. Take a walk, and I would ask you, how far can you go for a walk without it like being debilitating? And I would say just take a measure of that. I can only walk down the block or down the street. Okay, well, just do that once a day. Start your day off with that, especially because your cortisol levels are spiked in the morning. So what I would encourage you to do is when you wake up, don't do the laying in bed and ruminating, because that's going to feed anxiety, feed depression. Try just the first thing you do, get up and get moving. Get some clothes on, get dressed, go out and do that walk. Up to the corner and back, just to prime the day to help with that anxiousness. Because trying to sit and trying to I need peace, take action on it. Okay, all this is in kindness and in grace. Now, the other part is you need practice. Phobias and these kind of panic fears need practice. So, for example, I had this today. If you watched the live I did months ago where I was in Epcot Center and I had a paralyzing panic attack on one of the rides. I told the whole story. You can go back and check it out. I think I said I had a claustrophobic panic attack, and to the point that I had to bang on the wall, get me out of here kind of thing, right? And it's crept up. Since then, it's crept up in a number of times. Well, just recently, for my own health reasons, I got this little setup. I'm not sure how great it is, but it's a little portable sauna thing You can get it on Amazon. They're like $150. Not a big deal. And you just have this attachment in, right? And I was setting it up, and this morning, I said, you know what? Let me try this thing out. Let me try to use it. So I set it up, got it going. I don't think I'm working it right because the temperature wasn't getting high enough. So I got to figure that out. But anyways, it's a zip thing. It's kind of like this canvas enclosing kind of thing, and a little chair. Zip thing. I went inside of it and sat down. And if you ever gone into like a sauna or a steam room or something, your breathing gets affected. Like the breathing feels different. So I went in and my breathing all of a sudden got short. And then I sat down in the tiny chair and I'm like, immediately I went into, whoa, I feel enclosed. And that same feeling was starting to come back. And what I wanted to do was go, get me out of this. But because I know what I know, I said, no, I'm gonna sit here and ride through this. Now for some reason I can't get the temperature of it to get. There's something I got to tweak on it. So otherwise I would have sat in there longer. But I said, I'm just gonna let myself ride this wave, this emotion. This was this morning. This is not 10 years ago. This was this morning, and I felt myself just slow increments of just coming down. My thought was, God, I give this to you. I have kind of a couple tools and things I use as far like I just renounce this fear. I'm not going to feed this fear. You're not welcome in my life. I don't get kooky and hooky about it. But God, I take my peace right now, and I just practice just riding the anxiety wave. No, you're not going to be my boss. So you probably need those moments. Your mom's your neighbor. She's trying to be supportive. You need those moments where you get in, practice it. It's going to take a bunch of rounds to do this. This is not going to go away with a quick prayer or some kind of, there's no getting around with phobias. We have to have an experience of exposure to it. Now, it's helpful if it's incremental, right? So for somebody who's afraid of snakes, if you just throw a snake at them, it's going to cause them to tilt, and it's going to be unproductive. But you may need to look at a picture of a snake, right? And you feel the anxiety. Or you mean go to a place where they're in, enclosure, or and then where you're near one, but it's not, not close to you. Same in this with all driving issues. It's an address to all phobias. Is that we need incremental experiences. So even this morning, I felt the reference of feeling closed in because this little portable sauna kind of steam thing, it was small. And even people in the reviews wrote, if you're 6 feet or taller, you're going to feel really tight in this. And I felt enclosed, and I felt that feeling of trapped, right? And that is going to trigger fight or flight. I got to get out of here kind of thing. And I said, let me just sit with this, because this isn't going to win. Now, it didn't solve it right away, but I know how to, through practice, to just ride this through, and I'm going to go do it again. Whether I don't know if this thing is working, because I need the heat to be, it helps with my muscle aches and just joint issues that I got going on. So I'm trying that. But anyways, you need some encouragement through that. It takes that practice. So it's a combination of letting that love have its work, because love believes things, and building your belief system, and that father heart that you need. You talk about your mom. I don't know about what your dad's role is in your life, but that father heart that you need, but then taking steps. So anyways, so you stop doing the car rides. I want to encourage you to get back, but just do incremental, and then keep building. I have been through panic attacks, DPDR. Is that, you know me in abbreviations. You're talking about dissociation and derealization? I think so. And a horrible Klonopin withdrawal. Okay, so that's another thing that you've got going on. And I would encourage you to do some reading, get some help on that. You got some benzo withdrawal symptoms. Yeah, Klonopin withdrawal experience in the past, and I was able to get through it over time, somehow without seeking God. I don't know how to read that statement. But now I'm so close to God, seeking him, and I really feel stuck. And the suffering is really causing me to doubt him, and I feel so rejected by him. I just don't know where God is in all this agoraphobia, survival mode, and hypervigilance. Well, yeah, because when fear screams, it creates a sense of disconnection to love. You can even feel disconnected from people around you, let alone God. You can feel disconnected from the world around you. You can feel disconnected from people, from yourself, and all that. That's the nature of what fear does. It creates this tunnel vision of survival. He's with you. You need Psalm 23. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil because you're with me. He's with you. And I want to tell you, he was with you when you weren't seeking God. Because I think we have this like, well, I'm doing good in seeking him, so he's here. Well, I'm not doing good in seeking him, so he's not. But I would venture to believe he's been faithful all throughout. I just don't know where God is in this agoraphobia. I already read that. I don't know if he's leading me through a valley or if I'm going through a storm. It's not about God, like, is he leading me through the valley? He's walking with you through this valley. It's a valley. You're in a valley. So we don't have to wonder about it. You're in a valley and he's with you in it. Or am I going through a storm? That's another metaphor you could use. It's both, valley and storm. Either way, I can't seem to find his peace in here. Also, what are your thoughts on benzodiazepines? I would go watch my talk on medication, and that would give you some perspectives on that. All right. Somebody has physical insecurities, and they are obsessive compulsive about their physical appearance. It's a very common issue. I think we all have a bit of that, don't we? We all have a bit of that sense of like fussing over how we look and our flaws. Anyway, you answered one of my previous questions a few months back, and it had a ton of fruit in my life. I have very debilitating scrupulosity, but over the recent months, I've made so much progress with your resources, so thank you so much. My current main OCD struggle relates to physical insecurities. Over the recent months, my OCD has grabbed on to my perceived physical flaws relating to my physical appearance and presentation. This is very, very, very common, especially in our media-saturated culture. Everyone's spinning about how they look and their flaws. I've compulsively spent large amounts of times in front of the mirror trying to check and see if I look and sound good. So even not only how you look, but how you sound. I've also researched a lot online about these perceived flaws and how to correct them. Like through what? Like plastic surgery, like those kind of things. It seems that I judge how I look with such a hard standard and never feel good enough about how I present myself. When I see a flaw, I fixate on it and takes away from all my attention, as I tend to ruminate over it. These compulsions have taken my time and focus from more important matters. It just seems that OCD grabs onto a physical flaw and it's hard to let go. What would be your advice on this struggle? Well, yeah, you're obsessive compulsive, and this isn't your only area. Many times we think like, oh, this is my area, and if I could just get this fixed, and then OCD just changes subjects. So we have to deal with the obsessive compulsive structure that's at work and how we relate to thoughts. So you stand in front of the mirror. There's a couple things I suggest, and write back to me and tell me if this helps or not, but practice it for a few months. When you stand in front of the mirror, you're gonna first go right to the flaws. Your nose, your eyes, your head, whatever, how fat you are, skinny you are, tall you are, whatever. You're going to be tempted to notice that. And what I want you to practice is gently redirecting, and I want you to begin practicing what you appreciate about how you look. Start gently redirecting your focus, because the lens has been infiltrated and distorted. So we need to bring the lens back to kind of see the big picture versus the fixation, because the fixation will get very, very narrow. And then what happens is it distorts the whole picture, and your brain can come under this very easily. Like you ever talking to somebody and you just kind of stare at a feature and all of a sudden it's like, oh, that's all you can see, because it became a focus and now your brain's narrowed in on it. And it's like you almost can't see anything else. It's just the power of our brain's ability to focus, but it's gotten hijacked. So let's say your nose is too big. Instead of ruminating over it, fixating on it, or trying to pose in ways, right? Just redirect your focus to the big picture of yourself. Let love have a work, and just start to notice and appreciate, and even notice out loud and say to yourself, because you're talking out loud too. So I'm going to use that to advantage and start developing appreciation for you overall. and see where that goes. Now you need to do this on a regular basis because the stuff's going to kick up. So what we need to do is take those flaws and put them into their place, into their perspective. Because our flaws, physical flaws, need to be something that you have an endearing relationship with. Do you know what I mean when I say that? It's like when your friend, like your friend that has a flaw, maybe they show up late or they talk too much. When you just connect it to love for them, you go, that's Susie. She talks a lot. You know, when we get out of love, we get in frustration, we get into expectation, we get into what we don't have or what's not happening. We fuss over it and we get angry. So we need to make that shift with ourselves. And I found this over time as a practice, and I do what I call mirror ministry. I look in the mirror and I talk to myself. I make eye contact and I look at myself and I say words to myself. And is that affirmations? Call it whatever you want to call it. I just utilize my words to bring edification versus fussing, fixating on all that's wrong, because I had to make a shift from fussing over flaws to appreciating what is great in me, around me, in my life. Because I got to recalibrate my radar. So I pray that is a help and a blessing. My love, do you have anything going on over there? How's the comments and the interactions?
We're good. We're currently actually talking about who should take over the Indiana Jones series.
Oh, this is very productive.
Well, it was an aside. You know, sometimes you just have to have those little things.
Yeah, and your opinion is
Chris Pratt.
Yeah, would be a great choice.
He'd be perfect. Yeah.
Did that come out of me saying Jesus, Indiana Jones?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. What a tangent.
That did with the snakes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
By the way, what was the temperature reading that? Yeah, I said, everyone, tell me your temperatures.
I don't think people did.
Was anyone have a cold reading? Is there somewhere on the planet where it's cold right now?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be. Probably. Where is it cold? Isn't Russia always cold?
Yeah, and there's parts of it that are always cold.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you what's really going. I'll put some hair on your chest just for a moment. If you,
oh my goodness,
if you tune in, and Americans have no comprehension of what real cold is like.
Truth. Oh my goodness.
All right, I'll take it.
It's chilly in Vancouver.
I'll take it. Oh, all right.
Mm-hmm.
A bit nippy. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna take a dance break. We can come back and then I'll do some more questions.
Okay.
I don't have my shortage of questions, that's for sure.
You
so
don't,
definitely get into them. But yes, my dear.
Hold on. So what? Hold on. Katie asked, she would like to know, what would the church lady think about you hitting 100,000?
That's very easy because the church lady is always about, she's always concerned that you're going to get arrogant. She's always very, very concerned, hyper concerned. So immediately, she would stomp over any celebration.
All that hollering and hooting and all that stuff you're doing. Bring it down. Bring it down right now because you didn't do this. The Lord did it. Anyways, and it's meaningless because when you go before the throne of judgment one day, yes, judgment. By the way, hashtag judgment hello. Make sure you get the app and I will bring the judgment to you. When you stand before him, he's going to take that YouTube subscription and it's going to burn before him. It's going to burn. All of it's going to burn to smithereens, to nothingness. So stop all your celebrating. Bring it down. Bring it down. Now, if you want to talk about how I've been a blessing to your life and to your journey, well, then please, no, don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. Yeah, I receive it humbly. Thank you so much. That I've been such a blessing to your life.
So see, that's her struggle. She's always clamping down on anything that you do. But if you say something to her, she
likes it. She does.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But don't you ever let that get to your head, because Mark, your head's big enough already. You're like a size 8 1/4, big old baseball,
my goodness.
head you got there. You had to get special size hats just to wear a hat. So we don't need that head getting any bigger than it already is. So just calm down.
Oh, gosh.
Calm down. No celebrating. No celebrating. Just get back to work.
That's the church lady.
That is the church lady.
Yeah. She's always making sure
I love the church lady.
that she clamps down. That she's petrified. She's afraid that if you have something good happen, you will get a big head.
Right. And no one needs that.
Yeah. Why'd she have to rank on my physically big head? Why'd you have to throw that in there?
It's so funny. Oh my gosh.
All right. Keep an eye on the chat world.
Listen, I am.
Yep. Indeed.
I'm trying, sir.
I have a new book that has been out and getting good feedback on it. And I plan on, at some point, maybe late this summer, I will do some training course material. The book is A Myth of the Perfect One. This is about ROCD, relationship OCD. And if you're a part of the Healing and Freedom community, and those of you who have this battle, just so you know, the membership, it's a deeper investment. You don't have to subscribe forever. You can subscribe for a season. It gives me an opportunity to be a blessing to your life and to your journey. I'll give you more info, but at some point, I'm thinking about maybe August, starting a training course where you can come join the live teaching, or you can check it out on recording, and I can answer questions and address that. Just wanted to let you know. The reason I bring this up is because the question I have brings about the messy challenges that come about with relationship OCD. And so there's a lot here. I'll read through it, respond to it a bit, but it's textbook, all the things that come with this battleground. Mark, I appreciate your videos. I found you about 6 months ago by chance on YouTube, probably looking up some random topic on OCD. And I've been really blessed by your content and the attitude with which you present it. My life has been completely and utterly destroyed by OCD. I don't know how else to put it. I feel like other people likely have it worse, but I feel like I just can't function anymore with the specific ways that sin has co-opted it. That sounds like an OCD statement right there. And brought ruin to my current and almost past relationship. All right, so you're losing a relationship over it. I bought your book on ROCD, and it was a blessing to me, though I didn't see much about this particular topic in the book. So maybe it's my OCD, or maybe it's just me. Sometimes it's hard to see which is which. That's a common distortion people fall into. Is this OCD or is this not? I think you need to go back and slowly read through it again and also get the OCD healing journey, because everything you're talking is OCD infused, just so you know. It's sometimes hard to see which is which, and how much of me is simply my sin and my mistakes which is part of the hell that OCD has unleashed on my mind. Long story short, I've compulsively compared my girlfriend in my mind to probably hundreds or heck, maybe even thousands of women in my everyday life. Yes, that is a comparison thing. And I do talk about that factor in the book because that feeds the what if I'm with the wrong person. Okay, I did this with previous girlfriends, which I think was more out of discontentment, which is evil. Trust me, I know. You have a filter of like evil. You have a thought, evil, sin. So you judge it harshly, and you're misdiagnosing yourself is what you're doing. You're looking at this from a sin-focused lens instead of recognizing that you have a distorted way of relating to your thoughts and relating to imperfections. And you have anxiety around intimacy and connection. So I encourage you, you said you got a copy of The Myth of the Perfect One. Read it about 5 times and read it slowly and go through all the questions. Go through all the questions and actually work through them. Because it's you see it where it's like, it's infecting how you relate. Excuse me. Okay. You did it with previous girlfriends, and which I think more a discontentment, which is evil. Trust me, I know. But in the early stages of this relationship, I had ROCD and struggled sometimes to find her attractive. I'd fixate on certain flaws. Yes, these are all symptoms of it. Then we had a conversation where she asked me if I thought she was the most beautiful, which asking your boyfriend, "Am I the most beautiful?" It's kind of a setup question. It's not the greatest setup. My stupid mind, there you go, being hard on yourself, because all high and mighty and logical and whatever thought that was an impossible task, because how in the world would one person be the most beautiful in the entire world? Yeah, so this is a setup moment situation that's not going to have a great outcome. I always thought that when men said that, they meant that to them personally or in more sense, a loving, poetic sense. I didn't know it was supposed to be objective. To which she insisted it should be. I think there was a bit of a miscommunication, but that started my mind going absolutely haywire to find whether or not I thought she was the most attractive woman around me at all times. That's all OCD. That's all 7 of these on this, you go through like this, like clockwork. Perfectionism's got to be just right. Never. So you're like trying to make, do I see her attractive all the time? The doubt and uncertainty, if you distorted meaning interpret, you have a very distorted interpreter, and your interpreter is always looking for sin. It's seeking for sin and calling everything sin, and then beating yourself up for it. So, then started my mind, figure out, okay, again, I don't know how much this was OCD, how much of it stemmed from the lust issues of my past. You're trying to make it one or the other. When OCD is in play, it wants to infect everything. We understand that. People are like, well, I have salvation OCD. That's my topic. Yeah, it affects other things too. You just don't think it because you have one topic that tends to dominate the conversation and the stuff going on in your head. It's OCD. Yes. It's OCD. Can lust be a part of it too? Sure. Yeah. There's all kinds of things that are part of it. Is sin a part of it? Sure. But the way that you're looking at it, it's you're going to be misdiagnosing yourself as far as like how to walk through this. Either way, for the past 2 years, I've continued to compare her. I've tried to stop, even read books on OCD, seen 2 therapists, and pray to God that he would release me from it. And I don't know what to do. And I hate to break it to you, brother, but you're still just getting started. This is the OCD journey. It's like, because you're still fussing over, is it not? It takes a while for people to go, oh, okay, this is what I got going on. She's basically breaking up with me now. It's a slow break, but she can't take it anymore, and I don't blame her. This is the moment where you need to have a sober recognition of, I got to work on this OCD battle. And for most people who have these battles, we get unhelpful information and unhelpful feedback, and not realizing we're obsessive about how everything you're writing in here, you're obsessive about how you deal with your thoughts, how you deal with your emotions, how you deal with your feelings, and you're spinning, and you're losing this relationship. So this is your wake-up moment, your sober moment to go, it's time to step up, brother, and it's time to fight this, but fight it effectively. It's time to pursue and practice the helps. You've gone through therapy. That doesn't mean you actually practiced it. And if you practice it, doesn't mean you've given it time to actually work at it. A lot of people just kind of spin and ruminate in cycles without effective application to it. I'm not saying you're not doing any work. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying that this is a wake-up call to go see where my patterns are leading. She can't take it anymore. Now, some people go, well, and they go into woe is me, I'm terrible, and they go the self-pity route. No one ever wants to be around me. This is your moment as your brother from another mother. Say this is your chance to wake up to sobriety and go, I have an opportunity to work through this and to fight. I've made some mistakes. I've fed it, and I spun about trying to make sure my feelings and I saw her as the perfect thing. You're off in the wrong territory. That's not what this is about. This is about learning how to walk in love and what love looks like. Okay, so you may have already lost her. Why on earth would I hurt the one I claim to love in this way? Because you're not following the trail of love. That's why I question you've read the book, because I talk a lot about what love looks like and learning what love is. Why do I continue to do it? Well, you have OCD, bro. Feels like I have to. That's compulsion. Yes. Compulsion's like a drug, brother. It's like cocaine. It pulls at you to spin, ruminate, compare, check your feelings. I feel like it's a huge problem I have to figure out. I don't know. I feel so badly for her. And the thing is, she's actually really beautiful, and she's my type. So that's you stepping out of your OCD for a second and talking sober. Because what you just said here contradicts everything you just told me so far. Well, wait a second. I thought you didn't. You're trying to check and compare her to. No, you do think she's beautiful and she's your type and she's great for you, right? So we had a moment of sobriety. That one sentence was the sober sentence of this whole paragraph. And so it's so weird. But then I get thoughts sometimes, well, maybe she's not my type and that's why am I doing this? Or I'm just sinful, discontent. Yeah, your sinful hook. You have like this, I'm a sinful man, sin focus. It's a hook that comes into play and it distorts your ability to work through these things. Because that's just going to lead to condemnation. It's going to lead to law, and you're just going to spiral in that kind of pattern. And maybe I'm just a sinful, discontent person who's horrible at lifting up others and loving them for who they are, not for what they want them to be. I don't know. Sorry for writing so much. Thanks for what you do. I encourage you to let this be a sober wake up, and I've resourced this. I bring this up because I want to take a moment to speak to this, that you will step up. I had moments in my life where I needed to soberly wake up, get out of my loathing, get out of my victim spiral, get out of my self-pity approach, because all that is hateful. When I sit in self-pity over my journey and I'm terrible, I'm such a wretched sinner, that is unloving. It's anti-Christ to sulk in that. I had to wake up and go, it's time for me to rise and shine. Time for me to step up. The man that I can be, I need to learn. I got a lot of learning to do. I got a lot of learning about what it means to love and be loved. But I believe you can do it. And so I pray that what I'm sharing here will bring that sense of awakening. And you have the book. It's available to walk through. Some more obsessive-related
Can I ask
questions.
an obsessive-related question from
Of course.
Natalie?
Yes.
Welcome, Natalie, to the Heart Healing Overcomer community. Which is on YouTube. It's not the other one.
It's all right.
Anyway, so she also has a super chat. I've been frozen for a year with fear, in quotes, canceled divorce and narcissistic abuse. How do I know what God wants? And courage when I'm afraid of everything and can't make decisions and only see my disability, which is OCD.
So she's married to a narcissist who's abusive. Mm-hmm. She started the divorce.
Water just went everywhere. Sorry. Did you see that? It just went bloop.
So she's in an abusive marriage.
Yeah. Frozen. Yep.
And she started to file for divorce. Then she backpedaled.
That's what it looks like. Yep.
Okay.
And not sure what God wants and is having a hard decision making, hard time, is afraid of everything and can't make decisions and is like, just can't see anything outside of the OCD.
What I'm going to say could be misinterpreted, but I don't think it's fruitful to try to figure out what God is saying when you're in this kind of place. Mm-hmm. It's just not. I think that Christians, I've been one to do this myself. I think we get too wrapped up in trying to find this divine, mystical interpretation, sentence. God, what are you saying? And when you're dealing with someone who's truly narcissistic, it messes with everything in your wiring and thinking. It makes you spin backwards, upside down, and left is right, right is left, up is down, down is up, right? So the place I'd encourage to start is find space and room to just learn what love is, learn what it looks like to see yourself through love. And there's a chapter I talk about this in God Loves Me and I Love Myself, because that's a resource I'd encourage. I spent years, we've spent years trying to talk to people who are dealing with narcissists. And it's like you're just kind of bouncing off of a brick wall. Not that the person's hard-hearted, they can't take it in, because toxic relationships erode love within us. They erode and wear away at our ability to connect to love. Because you get used to being abused. You get used to it, and it now becomes your language and frequency. You become codependent to it. You become in survival mode. And we spent a lot of years trying, like, this is terrible. This is abusive. Something needs to be done. And they would just go back to it, and put some Jesus polish on it. You know, well, the Lord loves and God hates divorce and all those things and all that stuff, right? And Christianity is incredibly dysfunctional on the subject of divorce.
Yeah.
Incredibly dysfunctional. To the point I'm frustrated even talking about it, because the moment you talk about it, you get like this, just like you get all these different perspectives and angry and disagreements and all that, whatever. But we spent years like trying to talk like this is right. And we realized this person has to make a decision for what they're going to need to do at some point in their journey. Here's what we're direct. And I found this to be more fruitful. And I talked about this in the book, about learning what it means to see yourself through the lens of love. Because eventually at some point, you start to recognize unloving patterns for what they are, and that you no longer have to sit under that and no longer have to tolerate that. Now, her decision, sister, your decision is not something I'm going to tell you need to do this. That's your, I'm going to give you liberty to make your decision. That's probably the ultimate place in the kingdom of God, is you have the ability to decide. We can get all these theological rules about marriage and divorce, and everyone has their opinions and this and that. It's making everyone's head spin.
Yep.
Meanwhile, abuse is going on.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm just tired of all this theological arguing when there's just abuse going on. And it's, what do we have? Like sin competition? Like which is worse, divorce or abuse? Like, you know, it's like when the Pharisees were mad because it was the Sabbath and somebody was taking their donkey out of the ditch. And Jesus is like, the donkey needs to be taken out of the ditch. It's like, but it's the Sabbath, right?
Right.
You know? And as you can see, I get Puerto Rican about it. It's just like, it's frustrating.
True.
It's very frustrating, because I was just years and years and years of watching this. And meanwhile, well, he's a deacon and he's, oh, okay. Oh, I didn't know that.
Right.
Oh, he's super special now.
Right.
Meanwhile, all this stuff's going on underneath the surface in the body of Christ. So my point being, let me bring it back from getting worked up. My point being is that learn what it means to recover or rediscover a sense of what does it look like for you to be loved by God, to see yourself through the lens of love. Because what I found is, I'll use the example of the church when we were pastoring the church. And there was a lot of problems going on. And it was starting to wear away at me. It was starting to wear away at you and I. And it was actually in that season I learned, because I was begging God, bring a breakthrough. I'm fasting and praying. And really what I needed to do is I needed to leave and move on. I couldn't see that decision. And most of us can't see the decision we need to make. But I just let myself learn what God's love was. And there's something that snapped in me in a good way. It clicked into gear. Where it's like, no, I don't need to do this anymore.
Right.
I don't need to do this. It's time for a different chapter. You know, and maybe someday I'll get into more of the details of it and what was going on and what was happening. But it's not even about that. It was about that I needed to make a step in a new chapter of my life, but I couldn't see it because my disconnect to love in that time wouldn't allow me to see it. But love shifts your belief system. Love believes all things, right? But when you're in abuse, it erodes your ability to believe and to decide. And so that's where I encourage. Build that. And a lot of it takes working through codependency, working through a lot of recovery tools are helpful in these things because we've tolerated, in a way, this codependent world makes you call evil good and say it's love.
It's good.
Right? And that's what we've been doing a lot in the church and out of the church. We wash it over. Well, I just got to be loving. We wash it over with stuff. And it's interesting how we're so sin focused, but then when things like this come up, we're not. We're like, well, I got to love. Right? And interesting how it's like in other areas, just go on Twitter or X, sin, judge. Then it comes to things we should.
Right.
We go, well, we got to love people.
Right.
Whoa.
Right.
Am I making sense?
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Very good. It's very, very
Well,
good.
I want to fight for my sisters because they've been given a lot of
It's very true.
unredemptive
Very good. Babe.
perspectives. And we've made divorce like the unpardonable sin.
We have. Yes.
It's like,
Yep.
the bigger sin is the breakdown of relationships
Of the family,
that we have.
of love. Right.
What sin has done to erode, and we're fixated on things in a distorted way. Anyway,
I have one more. Can I ask one more?
Yeah, for sure.
From Tyrus. Hi, Tyrus. Greetings, Mark. I have been struggling with a few health issues this year. How can I face them and step forward in life without feeding my OCD?
Oh, goodness.
Well, sir, we are the king and queen of that.
Yeah. It's our world every day.
That is how we live.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what dealing with health issues for me has done in a good way. But I'll talk about what I've had to apply. It's really made me grateful for days where my health is decent. I have inflammatory issues today's one of those days. Getting up to doing the live wasn't like just a cakewalk. It's like I have some things, my back, my muscles, joints, it's one of the more difficult days. You don't predict them, you don't know. I'll tell you what it has done is made me very grateful for the good days, better days. It's made me more simplified in my journey. I'm not a 5-year plan guy. I'm not, I'm more like getting through today, and then we'll see tomorrow when tomorrow arrives, right? You make plans, but the plans are very, flexible because, it's you and I both have our journey of inflammation we've been dealing with.
Yes.
Going through both, what do you call it? Naturopath, integrative
doctors.
as well as mainstream medicine help. We have our pros and cons about both. But I think that there's a tendency within your symptoms to ruminate. Ruminate, what's causing this? What is it? Spinning online about remedies. And our current online structure is set up to feed off of that. Even in anywhere I go online, my algorithm knows. Like it's just hitting on, do you have inflammation in these areas? Because it knows I've looked up stuff on, and they're just targeting, well, my inflammation went overnight because I wasn't taking this, right? And it's just, a lot of like just updated snake oil salesman kind of approaches and stuff like that. But I had to learn to starve the spinning, but it took practice over time over like, what's causing this? What is it? And just going, this is what I know so far, and this is what I know helps. It's a long journey. And I've been in a lot of years of learning and learning how to adapt and how to make, but it's also made me very grateful. I'm a very grateful person. So when I'm with you and we get to go out to eat and have some time together, I just love and appreciate it.
Right.
When have time with the kids, I love and appreciate. My life has gotten more simplified. Now, some people will say, well, then God has taken this and he's used it and he wanted you to have this. That's goofy.
No,
that's goofy theology. However, God is here in the midst
of it.
This, the aspect of sickness and what sin in the land has brought about, and just this very, very beautiful yet broken world that we live in.
Yep.
God is here to bring light and grace. So I look for love and I look for grace in the midst of it.
Right.
And grace points me to the journey. Love points me to God's patience with me, his kindness towards me. And as a recovering, high performance, high perfectionism, even you could say type A kind of person, and that being redeemed and renewed in my life, it's very different world that I live in now, because it's more about just 1 hour after another in that, but also facing, get the blood work I need to get.
Yeah.
Go to the doctor and do it. Now, there's a point in time where I was going to too many doctors because I was in so much pain. It was debilitating. So it's understandable, right? But over time, like going, okay, all right, here and there, do your blood work, do your tests, you know, because sometimes all the doctor's visits got to me.
It's a lot. And then when it's like, you
Wasn't
know,
helpful.
parsing down all the food, like everything you like has the seed oils,
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. And that's something that
There's
I'm
good salad dressing.
That's something that I've, you know, in this year, that's another layer that I've been addressing is seed oils to see, has it helped? Not that I know of. There's nothing like clearly as far as like health and nutrition. I've been able to go, that thing has made a dramatic effect, you know, but there are things that make little effects and little helps.
Right. I told Mark I was reading something on X yesterday of, you know, somebody did if you have all these things and if you're on this, you don't need to be on this and you need to just do this and this, and, you know, all the things. And so somebody was writing in the comments, well, they just took out dairy and gluten. And then in a year, they were off of all their medication. I'm like, really?
Now that may be true for
It
somebody.
could be true for them.
Maybe true. And maybe they're heavy lactose intolerant. Maybe they have a heavy gluten. They have a gluten issue. It's creating an inflammatory response. However, most people, it's not that simple.
Right.
It's like the rest of life. It's complicated. It's in layers.
It's very complicated.
Yeah. But I don't think, you know, on a daily basis, I'm not at 100%.
Right.
But like today, I'm like at 67, 70. Maybe right now I feel more 70. I'm grateful for the 70.
Right.
I'm able to sit here, being alive, at least have a train of thought. I might have some brain fog,
Right.
but I'm able to have my train of thought and be a help the best I can.
Yeah.
And I so it makes me connected to that and appreciative of that.
Yes, it is. When we can say, you know what, we had a good day today.
Right. And you just anchor yourself in that. God, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you for this.
Yeah.
I am daily, and I'm not trying to brag or anything like that. I'm just telling you it's just true. I treasure gratitude.
Yeah, we do.
So
but it took us a long time to get to, I shouldn't say a long time, but we of integrating that, putting that into our daily life and what that looks like.
Yeah.
Because I understand where he's coming from, of where then you're OCD about, I had this 2 days ago because you know what? I got sick of eating this kind of food and I just wanted to eat this and I wanted to enjoy something. So now I don't feel good. And is it that? And you obsess about all the little things and all the stuff.
yeah,
And-
I've spent a couple years doing that.
Right.
The pain hits. Oh my goodness, what did I eat? And I'm going back and trying to
And it can take you on for size, but there are those simple things of integrating gratitude, of just, okay, you know what? I had a good couple hours today.
And I think it's like learning step by step along the journey. It's not, I want to push back on the black and white silver bullet solutions. It's, you got a learning journey. If you have autoimmune, especially, if you have autoimmune, any kind of autoimmune issue,
Who
you have
doesn't these days?
I know.
I got to be honest. Who doesn't?
And looking back, I would trace it back to like my late 20s. You know, it was there. And some pain things and stuff I didn't see at the time because it takes a while. But if you have autoimmune, you got a journey. You got a journey of learning, and it can take you out. But it's a self-love journey of walking through. You know. But anyways, it also depends too. Is it Tyrus? Is that his name?
Yep.
You know, if you did he share what it was? He didn't have to.
No.
Okay. But anyways, that's what we've had to learn, and we have another aspect in our son who's on the spectrum of like dealing with him, and what the journey has been on that. We're at another phase of healing in that area because he's now 17 going on 18. There's now new stuff coming up that we're having to deal with. New uncertainties, new things, new fears, new areas of
Right,
how
what
to
does
deal
our
with this.
future look like?
You know, we're talking about like, could he drive? You know, what could that look like? You know, him and I are talking about relationships. You know, like
Right, because he wants.
any girls you're interested in,
likes
Max. And,
girls,
you know,
right.
there's any. You know, trying to like have those conversations and those things, and
Yeah.
there's challenges within that. So they're everywhere.
Right.
They're everywhere. But I'm telling you, this compassionate grace that I talk about, it's powerful, but it's messy and it takes time to let it have a work in our lives
Yeah.
because we're not used to it.
Very true.
Yeah. That's all I have to say
good,
today.
boo.
Yeah. This was great. Anything else?
No, I mean everybody. The chat has been great with all that. People are having good conversations. Yeah, I think.
Speaking of, I just got a text for my dermatology appointment
Me
tomorrow.
too. We're getting mole checks tomorrow. Oh my goodness.
Me, it's my usual psoriasis check.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, anyways, so
We were like. We sound like old folks.
yeah,
Oh my
our
gosh.
kids do a lot of ranking on us. They're like, when I put my glasses on, Abby's like, "Oh, you need your cheaters."
I know. You know, it's funny though, but I don't think our parents' generation was going through this stuff
No.
at the age that we are.
No,
They just did not. I'm sorry.
something's going on.
There is something in the air, in the
Something.
water, in the food.
Something's going on.
Don't
Yep.
get me started.
But
Anyway.
I do my best not to spin about that because I can't control
Right, because
that. But I
that could
can.
be another spin out. We don't want to spin out
Yeah.
more things.
Yep.
Anyway, we didn't do Under the Blood, but next week.
Yeah. Well.
People were asking.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll save them for next time.
Yeah, save it for next time.
It's all good in the hood.
You know it.
All right, y'all. This was great. Real blessing. Love that we're back. We'll continue to be back. Lord willing and the creek don't rise. This is your brother from another mother
And your sister from another mister.
saying we'll be back with more insights for your healing and freedom journey. But in the meantime,
Are we out?